Hey, welcome back to Introduction to Engineering Design. This is Module 5.5b, and today we're working on lofted cuts. So if you open up your instructions, what you'll find here is it's about the fifth part in. You're going to make a lofted cut, and it's this V shape. A loft is a little bit different than a extrusion or a sweep in that it's similar to a sweep, as it'll go from one point to the other and trace out a shape. In this instance, we're going to do a cut. It's quite different, though, because it will transition shapes in between. So in a sweep, you could only trace out your profile, and your profile could change in dimension, but your profile shape didn't change. So loft has no such restrictions. So today we're going to cut two V's, and we're going to do a closed body lofted cut. So to get started, let's do this. Let's go ahead and make this block 2.5, 1.5, and 1.5 deep. So I'll go ahead and extrude that by starting a new sketch in Solidworks. And we'll start out with an extruded boss base in the front plane. And I'll go ahead and drop a center rectangle and dimension that out to the instructions. Fully defined, exit my sketch, extrude it out to mid-plane, and you'll see why here in a second, to 1.5. There, I accept that. And let's go ahead and start by making a V-shaped sketch in the front face facing me, and then I'll do another V in the back face. Dimensions aren't real important, but what we do want to do is make a fully defined sketch. So I'll start at the top here and basically trace out a line across the top, come down here, and make an approximate V shape. Apply a couple dimensions to define my sketch. And apply a relation vertical relationship. And now let's roll my model to the backside. Let's go ahead and do another sketch on this face. Same basic thing, except my V is going to be a little bit smaller. And I'll try and start out at the origin here. And there we've got a fully defined sketch. So now what I have here in this shape is I've basically got a triangle on the front face, a triangle on the back face, and I'm going to do a lofted cut between. So let's go over that, and we click on your Features tab and select Lofted Cut. In the windows here, let's focus mostly on this first window here, because that's what we're going to deal with today. This is the profile, and this says from what profile to what profile are you going to cut in this instance. So if I come through, I can either select my profiles in my design tree, so I could choose Sketch 2 as my first profile, and then Sketch 3, and you'll see that it makes a lofted cut. So there is my profile. You'll notice this little green dot here, and that's basically saying what the orientation of that profile is. I can flip it around and I'll get weird things. This would actually give me an unresolved cut in that fashion, because it ends up with a zero thickness boundary as the 2 points cross. So just be aware of what happens with this green dot and how much you can mess yourself up with that. So let me show you how that ends up happening. I'm going to clear the selections. The second way I can select is I can come down and pick a point. That's how it happens. So I choose a point that doesn't make a proper lofted cut between the two places. So if you're going to choose your points, what I recommend you do is you think about the path. So if I was going to start on this point, I'd want to cut through the model to that point of the model, and then I'll get the right cut. As opposed to if I started at this point and I wanted to cut here, you'll see what happens is as my lofted cut crosses in the center here, I get a zero thickness boundary, and it's not going to let me do that. And it shows you that right here by the way that it's shaded. So if I actually went and accepted that, you get the rebuild error here. So if you get a rebuild error, pay attention to your path. Be sure that you're going straight across like that in this particular exercise. Okay, well, that is the lofted cut that I apply. Now, one thing I wanted to show you here is I wanted to go back into this, and I'm going to add another sketch in here. So I want to go ahead and add a sketch, and I'm going to sketch, except I'm going to choose my mid plane here, my front plane, which I started in. I'm going to put something completely different in here. I'm just going to sketch a circle. And I'll go ahead and, let me go back and dimension that, sorry. I'm just going to give it a nominal size, 0.5529 something. Exit my sketch. And now watch this. If I go back in and edit my loft, and I add sketch 4 into it. And actually what I got to do here, hang on one second, I have to actually move this up so that it occurs either before or in the loft. There we go. So I can't include a sketch that occurs after I execute the loft. So now let me go back in and edit my loft here. And I want to add sketch 4 in here. And I'm going to put sketch 4. I'm going to go from 2, which is my back, no, my front, to sketch 4, which is my midpoint, to sketch 3. You'll see I get a completely different shape. So let's go ahead and do that cut. And there you have it. So I kind of transform that loft, don't I? So you see lofts are quite powerful features. Just a few things to pay attention to. I would urge you when you're starting out to do closed loft cuts and closed lofts to get the hang of how it works. That's it for your introduction to lofts in this particular exercise. This is what it should look like when you're done. I'll suppress this. Suppress that sketch and go back into my loft. And take that sketch out of there. And your loft ought to look something like that without the sketch visible in there. There you go. Thanks for watching.